On May 4th, 2026, Dolly Parton posted a video to Instagram from what looked like a quiet room somewhere in Nashville. No stage, no rhinestones, no band. Just Dolly talking directly to the camera, the way she does when she wants you to hear something straight. The good news is, I'm responding really well to the meds and treatments, and I'm improving every day, she said. The bad news is, it's going to take me a little while before I'm up to stage performance level, because some of the meds make me a little bit swimmy-headed. Something that no publicist wrote for her. I just got myself kind of where I needed to build myself back up spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, in that order. Not health first, not career, spirit first. And if you know what happened to Dolly Parton in the 12 months before that video, you understand exactly what she meant and why the real reason she's stepping back has almost nothing to do with kidney stones. The full picture of what Dolly Parton has been carrying comes into focus a story that started long before the kidney stones, long before the canceled Las Vegas shows, and long before any of her doctors got involved. You'll find out what she admitted on the Today Show in May 2025 about the year she spent watching Carl Dean get sicker, and why that admission changes the way her health story has been reported everywhere. You'll hear what she said at Dollywood in March 2026 that she had never said publicly in 60 years of interviews. And you'll find out the one condition she named years before any of this happened that she said would be the only thing that could ever make her stop. She named it out loud. Nobody was listening closely enough at the time to understand what it means for Dolly Parton to slow down. You have to understand what working has always meant to her and what it cost her to build the life she has. Dolly Rebecca Parton grew up the fourth of 12 children in a one-room cabin in Locust Ridge, Tennessee, in a family that was, by her own description, dirt poor. Her father paid the doctor who delivered her with a sack of cornmeal. There was no running water, there was no electricity. There was, however, a mother who sang, and a child who absorbed music the way other children absorb sunlight. She left for Nashville the morning after her high school graduation in 1964, carrying nothing but a cardboard suitcase and an absolute refusal to go back to what she'd come from. And by the time she was 20 years old, she had a record deal. A husband she'd eloped with in secret because her label told her not to get married, and a career just beginning to take the shape that 60 years later would make her one of the most recognizable human beings on earth. Dolly Parton has written over 3,000 songs. She has sold more than 100 million records. The Imagination Library she started in 1995 has given away more than 200 million books to children in 11 countries. She funded COVID vaccine research through Vanderbilt University. She turned down a Presidential Medal of Freedom twice, and through all of it, every album, every tour, every movie, every philanthropy announcement, every award, she came home to a man named Carl Dean, who had never once given a single interview, never walked a single red carpet, and was, by every account, the fixed point around which everything else in her life orbited. When people asked her the secret to their 60-year marriage, she always gave the same answer. "Stay gone," she'd say, and then laugh. But underneath the joke was something she meant completely. Carl Thomas Dean was born in Nashville on July the 20th, 1942, the son of a family that worked in the asphalt business, and he grew up with absolutely no interest in fame, celebrity, or the entertainment world his wife would come to inhabit completely. Dolly met him outside the wishy-washy laundromat on her very first day in Nashville, 1964. She was 18 years old. He drove past in a white Chevrolet and called out to her, and she turned around, and by Carl's own account, given at their 50th anniversary vow renewal in 2016, his first thought was, "I'm gonna marry that girl." His second thought was, "Lord, she's good looking." And he said, "That was the day my life began." They eloped to Ringgold, Georgia on May 30th, 1966. Her mother was the only witness. Dolly's label didn't know she was married for a full year. When her boss at the label finally found out and said, "Aren't you glad you didn't get married?" she let him keep believing it. For 58 years after that, Carl Dean ran his asphalt business, maintained his absolute privacy, kept their home life completely separate from her public life, and was the reason, by Dolly's own testimony, that she never once had to wonder whether someone loved her for what she was or what she built. There's always that safety, that security, that strength, she said of him in 2024. He's a good man, and we've had a good life, and he's been a good husband. She said that in 2024, while, as she later admitted, he had already been very sick for a long time, and she had already started quietly neglecting her own health to be near him. Carl Thomas Dean died in Nashville on March 3rd, 2025. He was 82 years old. No cause of death was announced. The funeral was private, immediate family only, which is exactly how he had lived. Dolly's statement said, "Carl and I spent many wonderful years together. Words can't do justice to the love we shared for over 60 years. He is in God's arms now, and I am okay with that. I am okay with that." She was not okay. She just knew how to hold it while the cameras were on. 2 months after Carl died, Dolly Parton appeared on the Today Show and said something that explained the next 12 months of her life more clearly than any medical statement her publicist ever released. "I get very emotional when people bring it up," she told Savannah Guthrie and Craig Melvin. "We were together 60 years. I've loved him since I was 18 years old, and it's a big adjustment just trying to change patterns and habits." Then she said the sentence nobody clipped for social media. "I'm very involved in my work, and that's been the best thing that could happen to me. But I'll always miss him, of course, and I'll always love him." Work is the best thing that could happen to her. Work is the grief management system. Work as the reason to get up, and the reason to keep moving. That sentence tells you everything about what the next several months were going to look like, because anyone who has ever used work to outrun grief knows exactly where that road ends. In October 2025, when her sister Frida publicly asked fans to pray for her and rumors about the seriousness of her condition started spreading, Dolly got on Instagram to address it herself, and in doing so, said something that had been true for a long time. "Back when my husband Carl was very sick, that was for a long time. And then, when he passed, I didn't take care of myself. So I let a lot of things go that I should have been taking care of." There it is, the real timeline. Carl had been sick for a long time before he died. Dolly spent that entire period, months, possibly more than a year, focused entirely on him. Not on her own health, not on her own doctors, not on the kidney stones that had apparently been building for years. When he died in March, the grief didn't help, and by September, the body had sent enough signals that even Dolly Parton couldn't ignore them anymore. The kidney stones were real. The procedures were necessary, but they were the symptom. Carl was the reason. Here is the part of this story that requires going back to February 2024, more than a year before Carl died, when Dolly Parton gave an interview to USA Today, and the reporter asked her directly, what would it take for her to retire? She had been asked this question hundreds of times across her career, and the answer was always some version of never. Always some variation on the "I've dreamed myself into a corner" line she'd been using for years. But in February 2024, she said something different. "I would only retire if I was ill, or if my husband was ill and needed me. That'd be the only thing that would make me pull back." She said it in February 2024. Carl Dean was already sick. She knew it, and she said it anyway, publicly, plainly, as a statement of what she believed, rather than as a calculation of of what she expected. By September 2025, both conditions she named had come true simultaneously. Her husband had not just been ill, he had died. And she herself, having spent the final stretch of his illness neglecting her own health, was now ill in her own right. She had told everyone what she would do if it came to this. And then it came to this. In September 2025, she missed a scheduled Dollywood appearance for the first time in anyone's memory, sending a pre-recorded video to the crowd instead. "Don't worry about me quitting the business," she said in an Instagram post that month, "because God hasn't said anything about stopping yet. But I believe He is telling me to slow down right now so I can be ready for more big adventures with you all." The Las Vegas residency she had announced in June 2025, her first serious string of concert dates since her 2016 Pure and Simple tour, was pushed to September 2026. Then the December 2025 shows were canceled entirely and replaced with a May 2026 Instagram video where she explained that the medications were making her swimmy-headed and she couldn't safely perform at that level yet. 80 years old, freshly widowed, rebuilding her immune system from the bottom up. Still writing, still working on the Broadway musical, still planning the Nashville hotel, and telling anyone who asked, she ain't near done. On March 13th, 2026, Dolly Parton walked out onto the Dollywood stage for the park's 41st season opening day, her first significant public appearance since the health disclosures began in the fall, and the first time most of the people watching had seen her in person since before Carl died. She was wearing sequins because she is always wearing sequins, and she was smiling the way she smiles, which is genuinely and completely, even when she is also something else underneath. And then she said the thing she had never quite said in 60 years of public life. "I've had a few little health issues, and we're taking good care of them," she told the crowd. "I just kind of got worn down and worn out, grieving over Carl and a lot of other little things going on. I just got myself kind of where I needed to build myself back up spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Grieving over Carl." She said it out loud to a crowd on a microphone in the place she built herself the theme park named after the person she became, standing in the mountains she came from. For a woman who had spent 6 decades being everything to everyone and keeping her private life absolutely sealed away from her public one, that sentence cost something to say. And she followed it with 5 words that sounded like the truest thing she said in years. "All is good. It didn't slow me down. All is good. Not I'm fine. Not don't worry. All is good." The phrase of someone who has been through something and come out the other side, knowing the difference between surviving it and being unchanged by it. In February 2024, Dolly Parton told a reporter the only thing that would make her step back was if her husband was ill and needed her. He was already ill when she said it. She already knew, and she said it anyway as a statement of what mattered most, delivered in the plainest possible language to anyone willing to hear it. The kidney stones were real. The canceled shows were real. The medications making her swimmy-headed are real. But none of that is the reason. The reason is 60 years of loving one person, and then that person being gone, and a body that finally said, "You cannot outrun this one." She's 80 years old, and she has a Broadway musical opening, a Nashville hotel in progress, new music being written, and a crowd at Dollywood that filled the seats before sunrise on a March morning just to see her walk out and say she was okay. Dolly Parton will be back. She has said so repeatedly. In every way, she knows how to say a thing. But she's doing it on a different schedule now, not the world schedule, and not the label schedule, and not the one she's been running on since she was a teenager who left home with a cardboard suitcase and no intention of ever going back. Her schedule. Finally, there's one more part of this story that connects directly to something she said about Carl Dean in 2023. A detail about the Rockstar album and what she admitted about why she really made it that puts everything else we've covered today in a completely different light. That story is what we're covering next. If this one stayed with you, subscribe, because the stories behind the stories are what this channel is for.